Hello, good morning. You can see I'm in a different vehicle this morning. I'm actually in my my dad's truck, and we are on the way out to where my cousin goes to school, goes to college, because his car's broken down. So we're going out there. We got the flatbed trailer. We're gonna go see if we can't figure out what's wrong with it. Either fix it while we're there, or if not, we're gonna load it up and bring it home and see if we can't fix it at home. So what we'll do is we'll go ahead and head out that way. Once we get there, we'll check back in. Alright, sorry for one if camera's a little shaky. All my camera equipment is still in my dad's truck, and I just switched out his truck for mine. So, again, here it is. Here's the car, as you saw from unloading. It's a Lexus RX 300. And a cousin, was driving it at school, and it quit on him. He was driving it at school, and it quit on him. Couldn't get it to start. It would crank. He said it did. The time it finally died, he said it started, ran for a couple seconds, sputtered out, and died. Which my initial thought was a fuel pump. So I took a look at it. When I got over there, it had been sitting for a while. It had been sitting for about a month and a half in the lot. So I got over there. The battery was completely flat. So I hooked up a jump pack to it, tried to start it, got a few cranks out of it, but the battery was just too weak to do anything. So I loaded it up on the trailer, we brought it back, and so far what we've done since we got back, we threw it on a charger. Wasn't getting a lot of charge out of it, so we threw jumper leads on it and connected it to my truck. And I actually got it started. It ran horribly. It was really hard to get it started. I had to sit there and pump on the gas and everything, and finally got it running. But it's running now. Once it warmed up, it's fine. It runs fine once it's warm. It's been sitting in the garage now for a little while. I'm going to see if we have any power to the battery. Which we do. Actually, I may try to start it here in a minute. But, got it running. I started doing a little bit of looking here and there. Once we got it running, I kind of thought, okay, well, it must not be the fuel pump. Because it's running, it's getting fuel. So I hooked up a OBD reader. There were no codes in the system at that point. Started looking at stuff, and the short-term fuel trims at that point were insane. They were insanely, one was insanely high, the other was insanely low. Like, one was like negative 40, the other one was like positive 50. So it made no sense. Once it cycled for a little bit, the short terms went kind of to normal, but the long terms then were insane, those insane numbers. So, fiddled around, let it idle for a while, got it all the way up to temperature, started running pretty well, but again, the long-term fuel trims were just crazy numbers. So finally I decided, okay, well, let's take it for a drive and see what happens. So we took it around the block, took it for a good drive. I kept an eye on the long-term fuel trims. The Bank 1 fuel trim kind of fixed itself and looked okay. The Bank 2 long-term fuel trim still was just out of this world numbers, not stuff that's not right. So I was like, well, that's a little more data, a little bit more interesting. Got it back to the garage, parked it, and before I shut it off, I looked back at my long-term fuel trims, and again, my Bank 1 was back to weird, crazy numbers. So I thought that's interesting, but at this point, I thought I needed to do a little more research, figure out what's going on. Shut the car off. We got vehicles switched around, all that. Just thought about it for a while and thought, well, let's get some fuel injector cleaner, throw it in the tank. So we ran over, bought some fuel injector cleaner, threw it in the gas tank, and then I started the car back up, let it run for a minute, and I noticed we had a check engine light now. So I plugged my code reader back in, and our codes were for, give me a second. The codes were for, one was a P0171, the System 2 Lean Bank 1. That's pretty common. My guess is the oxygen sensor. The other sensor, the other code we had was a P1150, which is the air fuel sensor circuit range / performance malfunction for Bank 2 sensor 1. So that's one part I need to do a little more research into it. See, because I've seen information talking about oxygen sensors, but I've also seen information talking about air-fuel ratio sensors. So I need to figure out which one it is that goes in that sensor, for that sensor, and what we need to do about it. My goal is I'm going to have the car for about a week before my cousin comes back for spring break. And I'd like to have it going for him by then. But my goal right now is I'm going to do a little more research, see what we can't figure out. If it's something as simple as, I have a hard time believing it's an oxygen sensor again, because it only has an issue when it's cold, and that doesn't seem right. Which also brings me, I looked at some more live data, and the Bank 2 sensor 1 sensor voltage was the exact same, never fluctuated, never changed, which sounds like it's dead. Makes me think dead sensor. So I really think it's just a simple sensor. I just need to figure out if it's air fuel or if it's an oxygen sensor. Get that changed out and see what happens cold start wise. I'm gonna fiddle a little bit more with the car tomorrow. Which I'll probably just make this all one video, at least the diagnosis part. We'll see if we make the fixed part of the same video or not. But hopefully, in theory, we can get this back on the road here for not a lot of money. So one thing I do want to talk about real quick is events coming up, because I want to talk about this before these events happen. Number one is Indianapolis Cars and Coffee. That's the first Saturday in April. But I'm going to be there for sure, which would be April, I believe, 7th. It's at Gator Motorsport on the north side of Indianapolis. Really cool event. I didn't get out there much last year, but year before that and 2 years and 3 years ago, I was there a lot. It's always been a lot of fun. I've taken several different cars. My Corvettes I had. The Porsche, an old Mercedes diesel I had. And the cool thing is, I mean, you can take basically anything you've got. I have everything from $300 Miatas to $500,000 supercars, or over $1 million supercars. Most expensive car I think I've seen there is an F40. So that one is, I believe, April 7th. And then April 28th, I believe. Let me check my calendar. Yes, April 28th, there is a car show at the Boone County Fairgrounds here in Indiana. It's a memorial car show for an officer that was killed in action here about a few weeks ago, about a month ago now. So I'm probably going to be taking my black truck to that too. It's not much of a show vehicle, but I want to go and show my support. And it's always fun to go to a car show anyway. So that's the upcoming events. And I know I'm hoping to make it to more cars and coffee as the season goes on. I know they have them second Saturday every month. They have them at the Motor Speedway in Indianapolis, and I really want to go to those. So that's with that. So that, I think that's going to kind of end it for right now. I will go ahead and try to start the car again. It is completely cold, basically completely cold now. So we'll see if it starts back up pretty easily or not. And we'll go from there. And again, I'll probably just pick this video up again tomorrow, and we will keep diagnosing. I'll do some more research tonight and tell you what I find. So let's give this thing a start, and then I will see you guys in the morning. Which, yes, I do know about the exhaust leak. It's not worth fixing. Alright, good morning. It's obviously the next day. Easter morning, actually. And I ran out here. We're going to see what's going on with the car. I did a little more research last night and figured out it is an oxygen sensor. Luckily enough, it's an oxygen sensor right on the front of the engine. Really easy to get to. So I've got one of those on order. I also did a little more research into the bank to lean. A lot of people are saying clean your map sensor, clean your throttle body. So I'm going to get some MAF cleaner later. Probably won't be able to get it today. I don't think anybody's going to be open. So I'll probably get some this week, clean that up. We'll do that in a separate video. Clean that up, change out the oxygen sensor. And hopefully that will get the car starting right. I'm going to try to start it here this morning and see what it does. But between the battery being low and everything else, I have a hard time believing this car is going to start right up this morning. But without a doubt, let's go ahead and give it a try. Okay, that's a fuel pump, I believe I hear. I'm just going to cycle the key a couple times. Started right up. Alright, I'm going to take it for a quick drive here. As my cousin had said, one of the issues is it dies pretty early when it's cold. So let it get the garage door open and we'll take it for a quick drive. Let me move you guys right over here. I think that will be good enough. This is not at all what I expected to be doing with this morning. I did not expect it to be able to drive at all. If you hear, that's just rust on the brake discs. The car again sat outside for a good month and a half, so it just needs to get the rust knocked off of it. Wow, this just blows my mind. Well, we're going to go ahead and get those parts switched out. But I may let him drive it back to school for a week, because so far I can't seem to find anything at all wrong with this. Now. Or majorly wrong. That's just weird. Alright, before we do anything else, let me plug our code reader back in here. Take a look at some of the live data. All right, here we go. Long-term fuel trim 2 is still way out of whack, but that makes sense. Long-term fuel trim 1 and short-term aren't nearly as bad. Short-term for 1 is 8.6 right now. Long-term is negative 17. Short-term 2 is 19, and long-term 2 is 48. But that's obviously our O2 sensor not doing anything with life. Again, yep. System to lean bank 1 and air fuel sensor circuit range performance malfunction bank 2 sensor 1. So let's see if there are any pending codes. Yes. Random multiple cylinder misfire detected. System 2 lean bank 1 and our bank 2 sensor 1. So misfire. But that would make sense with how we got it started yesterday. It was running really bad for a little bit. I almost wonder if it just got a little bit of bad fuel or something. That's weird. Alright, well, I'm gonna do a little more looking around. We're obviously going to change these parts out, which may end up moving to next week, because if it stays running fine, I'm going to let them have it back for the week. But I don't know, we'll see. So I think that's going to go ahead and close out this video. If you like the video, please give it a like. If you have any comments, especially if you know anything about these cars, I've seen issues like this before, feel free to comment, let me know what's going on. Concerns, anything like that. If you dislike the video, go ahead and give it a dislike. Let me know how I can improve. If you like the content and want to stick around, please subscribe. I hope you guys have a good day.